Greetings, opera lovers. Live from Pittsburgh, it's Rona. This year, I was so looking forward to seeing the double bill at the Met, Iolanta and Bluebeard's Castle. I was actually going to try to arrange my travel to New York to coincide with one of the performances, but that did not happen. And so I listened to its opening night on my computer to hear the music for the first time, complete, of Iolanta. And I was a little disappointed because my expectations were so high. However, as it was my first hearing, I figured I should give it another chance. And I gave it altogether 3 other chances. I was going to see it live for the HD, but I couldn't make it on Saturday, so I went and ventured out during one of the coldest nights in Pittsburgh to catch the encore production of Iolanta and Bluebeard's Castle from the Met. And I thought this would be a good time to bring up something that has been floating around in my head and I've wanted to talk about. And that is the value of the HD productions. There's been so much talk that it's the ruination of opera, or other people say it's the ruination of the Met in general, or that it's a good way to get young people to come to an opera house who might not want to go to a live opera. So after seeing this double bill, it sort of congealed a lot of ideas in my head. And that is that how are you, meaning the opera-going public, going to see an opera like Iolanta if you live anywhere but New York City or in Russia, where it's apparently a very popular opera? The answer to this question is, if you are not going to have a theater in close range to you that is showing the HD of Iolanta, you are really not going to get a chance to see it. Bluebeard's Castle by Bartók is done much more frequently, but it's not what I would call a popular opera, and I don't think there are too many regional companies that put it on with any kind of regularity. For one thing, it's a dark story. It has just 2 main characters. It is a modern opera, although it's really not, the dissonances are not harsh at all. There are some very beautiful melodic passages, excellent orchestral writing. It sometimes is done in English, but it's also done mainly in Hungarian, a language that many young opera students do not know. So that is a challenge for why you're not going to get a chance to see Bluebeard's Castle if you're living somewhere other than New York or another major metropolitan area. So for me, I was extremely grateful to be able to see both of these productions with first-class casts. I already put on my opera channel the what I thought of the prima of the live streaming of Iolanta. I did not listen to Bluebeard's Castle because it was too late, and it was already past my bedtime by the time it started. So these are my impressions of the productions, because it's not really important what I think about the singing. I was very glad to see the productions. I thought that the person who was the director, Mariusz Strzelinski from Poland, had a very good idea to link these 2 operas together. The main character of each is a woman who is on a journey in her life. In the first opera, obviously, she's born blind. If you're watching this, you probably know the stories of these operas. She's born blind and later regains her sight. In the second opera, Bluebeard's Castle, the main character, Judith, she can see, but she wants to find out what exactly is in all those hidden chambers in Bluebeard's Castle. The man she is either going to marry or is married to, I'm not exactly sure. I was not a fan of either of the productions, although perhaps if I were in the house and I saw it, they might have looked different. In the first opera, in Iolanta, there's a little box in the middle of the vast stage where the action takes place because it's a sort of an intimate story. Every now and then the camera drew back and you could see the entire stage, and at one point there were all these branches. They looked kind of like this, and they kept coming down. They looked a little bit like deer antlers or branches or some kind of combination of both, but a very forested look. Then there were also scenes of the night sky which were beautiful. It reminded me, on a dark side, of the beautiful production that the Met put on a few years ago of Romeo and Juliet, where, and it was interesting that Anna Netrebko played Juliet in this HD, where Romeo and Juliet are lying sort of on a hammock in the heavens, in the skies, and that was gorgeous. And so this night sky, it reminded me a little bit of that. Later we get to Bluebeard's castle, a really horrible place. The castle is like actually a character in the opera, and several of the props are used in this opera that were used in Iolanta. While the stories have nothing to do with each other, there's the theme of deer and deer antlers. There's also the odd light bulb that just hangs from the ceiling. And then there's a bouquet of flowers which play so prominently in each opera, but they are the same kind of bouquet of flowers. Since I had not said anything in my first review of the prima of Iolanta and Bluebeard's Castle, I had said nothing about Bluebeard's Castle as I didn't listen to it. I would just like to say a few words. First, the Met put out a few tidbits from the dress rehearsal, and when I listened to it, it totally turned me off to the opera. I did not like the singing of the lead soprano. Maybe she's a dramatic mezzo. I'm not exactly sure what her voice category would fall into. Her name is Nadia Michael. However, hearing her and seeing her portray this character was a great experience. I'm not going to say that I found her voice beautiful, but I thought her performance was thrilling and actually pretty close to perfect. She has just the right size and intensity and dramatic range for this role. She pulled it off fantastically through her acting. And I'd like to say a word about her physicality as well. She is a very attractive woman with a really beautiful body, which was used to her advantage in portraying this character. She was able to be so vulnerable and beautiful in this opera. I was mesmerized by her. And of course, at the end, where she sees that she's going to become one of these comatose, live but sort of dead former wives of Bluebeard, her agony and just the finale of it all was searing. And so I enjoyed it much more than I thought I would. I was looking forward to liking the music more than I did. I did not. It's interesting, too, that after hearing Iolanta a total of 4 times, my first impression remained. It is not, in my opinion, Tchaikovsky's greatest operatic achievement. I thought the beginning was slow, not very interesting. There are some individual moments of great beauty, and the final duet is gorgeous. I do have to say a special shout out to the tenor Piotr Bechawa, whose singing was just fantastic. And although I said 1 or 2 little negative things about Miss Netrebko singing in the low range, that did not take away overall from her general portrayal of Iolanta. There's one other thing I'd like to say about the production that I didn't like. And that is, while this is a fairy tale, why were the men dressed in puffy ski parkas? I couldn't figure that one out. Okay, I'm glad I saw it. And I noticed that it is not being brought back next season, But another opera that premiered this year at the Met, La Donna del Lago, which is a star vehicle for Joyce DiDonato, is coming back next season. And I think that's a shame that Iolanta and Bluebeard's Castle is not coming back, because while I didn't love the productions, I thought they were very worthwhile, and I think they were something that would be very enjoyable for audiences in general. Okay, everyone, this is in the middle of this great winter chill. Keep warm, and I'll see you another